Hey beautiful world, here once again, here Sarah. You know, I was another night, another cold rainy night in my car, another day to survive, another day to fight for human rights, another night alone in isolation, another day of gang stalking, heavy gang stalking, another day not to give up. Reason enough that it is so worth to fight for human rights, for love, for real pure love, for self-love and self-respect. it is worth to sleep in a cold car in the night outside, not to give up, not to be scared, not to accept the damage, not to accept the harm, not to allow anybody to take your value, because your value, you know your value, you're precious, you're beautiful. Don't let anybody tell anything else. They don't know you, you know yourself. And I was thinking how disgusting the story is. In the whole story, in my whole story, I ended up in a situation of a toxic couple with toxic relationship. They come from toxic family patterns, abused children that never learn to respect the red flags of to respect other people, abusive mothers that abuse their children. They never taught pure love, pure values, moral respect, limits, to accept limits. And excuse me, I ended up in a psychopath story of unhealthy families with deep heavy mental disorder, heavy broken hearts, children that was not able to heal, that never was able to learn, children that grew up with money and position and power, like the children I saw them at the NATO. They had many of them had really bad behavior, but nobody could say anything because their behavior were bad. But because of the position of the parents, nobody was allowed to say anything. And I remember at the school, at the German school in Brussels, the director of the school, he quit his job because the children were, they had no limits, they had no respect for anybody. But the director couldn't do his job because he's, as a figure of authority figure, as a director of a school, he couldn't act and educated the students because of the position of the of their powerful parents. That was, of course, there's the parliament, there's the European Commission, there are the embassies, there are politicians, there are, all people of power are located in Brussels, because they're making the rules officially, let's say like that. Even if behind the curtains I've realized there are other people that tell them what to do, what to say. But for the average people, they are the parliament. They are they are powerful people that stands for that works for the government, and yeah. And it is really sad to realize that people, a broken woman with mental disorder, a broken man with a broken heart with disorder, mental disorder as well, with addictions, with their trouble, with their problems, they wrapped me in a story that is not my story. It has nothing to do with me, and they abused the power to sacrifice me. How far can go politician and high society and secret society? How far can these people go? Just with false accusation and paid people to make false accusation. What's wrong with the law? There must be a gap. There must be a real big gap if some weirdo wake up